Cool. So, since this is a live stream, sorry, maybe let me just move off my headset a little bit. This is all live, obviously, so nobody's in the stream yet. So, if anybody joins, cool. If not, the stream will be publicly available. It's just me doing some labs on EVNG, stuff that I've usually done in previous live streams as well. I more or less just want to test the stream quality as well. It's quite important to me that we do have a good stream quality. If the microphone is a bit weird, let me know. If it's too loud, if it's too soft, I can change some stuff around. It's more or less that I just want to make sure I get the right settings. And also that I'm not blasting you guys with like a ton of music or anything, because I do have some music running, but you guys shouldn't be able to hear it, at least not from the stream settings at least. So I hope everybody's doing well, and yeah, it's literally just going to be a fun little stream. Like I'm just going to be doing some lab stuff. I should actually be studying to be honest, because since I've joined another company, they do a lot of Juniper stuff, and I've been working on getting the Juniper certifications, but I'm writing the JNCIS service provider on the 20th of April, but you know, I kind of figured I just want to also just do some other stuff as well. Although maybe I'll do some Juniper stuff in this particular stream as well. It's more or less get EVNG up and running, talk to you guys, make sure everything works, and yeah, just have a few streams. I mean, here you guys can see I've created a couple of folders. I've actually recreated my EVNG Professional. I've actually also only got 2 months left on it, which is crazy. I kind of hate that they do that with the whole Black Friday deal where you get a year and 6 months, because obviously the next time you need to renew, you don't get that same type of Black Friday deal. And if you want to get the next Black Friday deal, they don't extend the licensing. It's kind of a not a fun system. It's nice if you join up for the first time, but EVNG can get a little bit pricey on the professional level. I actually had stuff running on community as well. Community runs fine, by the way. There's no issues with using community. I just kind of like professional a little bit more because of how you can actually pull stuff like Wireshark, traffic captures, and just make the topologies look a lot nicer. So that's kind of why I'm still using it while I've got the license for the next 2 months, and then I might switch over to community again until the Black Friday deals, or if I feel really desperate, I might extend the license, but it shouldn't be a thing actually. All right, so I am just maybe going to open up one of these files. I think I've got actually a multi-vendor lab that I just added the nodes and licensed them, basically. A couple of Junipers, a Vios device, an ARNOS device, and then 2 Microtics. And these CHRs also have been licensed, I think. So we do get our full gigabit capacity on the interfaces, which is nice because if we want to test a few extra features, maybe stuff like bandwidth things. If we maybe want to test stuff like LACP, we can test that a little bit better, as opposed to just using the 1 megabit restriction you usually get on a CHR. So let's start up these nodes actually. Let's just see what we've got working with. I do think I factory reset them all, but licensing should be good. Although obviously I don't have an ARNOS license. This is just a trial device. This thing is, I think, hella expensive if you get it for real. This is really just them showing the rest of the world and the community how this stuff works. And it's really just like a Cisco. If we log in here now, you'll see it looks exactly like any Cisco IOS. or XR or XE. I don't know what the difference is anymore. The one that works kind of like Juniper, running Linux and different daemons and stuff like that. All right, let's have a look. Get in this ARNOS box. Ah, it's still busy starting. Here you can even see it. It's like, this is Linux. Very straightforward stuff. And I also found out something really cool when it comes to, because I'm not sure if many of you guys are aware of this. I use VMware for virtualization as a hypervisor on my Windows machine. And Windows with VMware, with these new Intel cores that have been coming out with, I don't know if you guys know what a P core and an E core is. I didn't even know this stuff existed until I bought new CPU and stuff, because, you know, I've been using, I think I used the 10th generation for a while before I moved to a different country. Then I obviously had to buy a new machine here. And since I got that new machine, like, working in a VM environment was difficult, to say the least. Lots of slowness and pains, and things just weren't working nicely, especially in Eve. The moment I bring up multiple nodes, things just freaked out. It looked really bad. It like, even my virtual machine, the Linux machine I'm on right now, would start freezing and stop working. And apparently this is something to do with the processes leaking into E cores, and then things doesn't work well, and you literally have to force the processes onto the P cores to get things working correctly. Alright, so let's log on to this Microti and see what's here. Actually, I think it still has a password. It just doesn't have any config. So we can just export. Well, it's got some DHCP client config, but that's really nothing. Does it have internet? Probably does. Probably not. Oh, never mind. It won't have any internet because I don't have the node connected to a management cloud. So, duh, that's quite obvious. Since I've got Ether 3 as a DHCP client, let's just quickly give it internet. Let's add a network, set it to the management cloud, and just pop it a little cloud image. Ether 3. And I'm pretty sure I've done the same on the other Microti on the remote end. And again, this is kind of why Pro is so nice. Like, you can just make things look a bit nicer, like this. Change where the labels are, change the curviness, all that kind of stuff, even though it actually looks quite bad right now. But yeah, that is about it for Pro. Let me just quickly see if this Microti has some internet now. It does. Good. And let's quickly see if my throughput looks decent between these two Microtiks. I just want to see if they actually are licensed. So a couple of ways we can do this. I might just jump onto Winbox, because I kind of like using Winbox, to be honest. It's a very straightforward GUI, and it's got all the functionality that you want, even from a CLI standpoint. It's just a lot easier to use some of the tools from the GUI, because it's literally just click, plug and play almost. Okay, let's just jump into a new terminal. We can just open up a new window like this, and I will just go into my downloads and wine Winbox. And here we can just log on to either or both Microtiks. I'll just connect on the first one for now. I'm actually not going to minimize it. It looks a bit weird if I have the two windows like this. So let's just work on each one of them in a big, nice box. And what I actually really want to do is just run a quick bandwidth test. So I can do a bandwidth test, and I think the one IP was 19134 at the end. I can also just look at the neighbors, I guess, and confirm it quickly. Ooh, it's 137. So I would have had that wrong. Let's just grab that, paste that in there, and let's maybe do a little receive or send test. Yeah, I saw they fixed it. I actually saw that. It's really cool. I'm not sure if it's version 15 specifically, because this is the latest beta build, version 7.15 beta 9. But yeah, it's got the nice WireGuard icon. I like it as well. Um, no, no, Igor, this version of Eve is the pro version. I've used the community edition as well, and I probably will use it. The thing is, I currently still have like 2 months left of the pro license, and I hate what they do with the Black Friday sales almost, because it's nice they give you that year and 6 months basically at a discounted price, and then afterwards you need to wait for the next Black Friday deal to extend that, because they don't extend licenses when you buy it. So either you need to shell out more money for less time, which is, it's really weird. I don't know why it's like that. Um, but yeah, this is just a very basic lab. Quickly, let's just quickly test the speed as well. I just want to see if it is actually working. We should get close to a gigabit. Uh, okay, that's not a gigabit, but that's more than 1 megabit. I can definitely say that. So my machine specs this is a 13th gen Intel. I think it's like a 13400K or something. Got 32 gig of RAM running at 3200 megahertz. GPU is a GTX 4070, but it's one of those cheaper ones, like a pallet. And I kind of regret buying it now, because I've been having these weird like visual issues. I can literally see. It's kind of like if your graphics card drivers are out of date, then you have these weird, I don't know, it's like pixel issues where everything like goes black and white blocks for a little, for like a split second. It's weird to explain. I'm not sure if you guys will even see it on stream, but I usually see it when I'm browsing quite heavily and I have like 20 tabs open and I'm switching between a bunch of windows. Speed test, intent of a bandwidth test. Yeah, for labs, you definitely want more RAM. More RAM is typically going to be the king when it comes to stuff like Eve or even GNS3, to be honest. Because if you think about it, you have this virtual server. Let me just see if I can drag this onto screen really quickly. I don't have anything weird open that you guys could potentially see, so that's fine. So this is just my hypervisor. You see, it's very bare knuckle actually at the moment. Since this is a new machine, I've just got the EVE-NG Pro server. Yeah, that could actually be it. That could actually be it. Although I did swap the memory out. I did replace it with new memory when I was having the VM issues. So I'm not 100% sure it's memory. It might be motherboard as well. But I just got a feeling it's the GPU, because I've never used the palette like brand before. That's true. Oh, yeah. I get you. I hear you. Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. Yeah. All right, let's quickly have a look here. Settings. Just want to show you how much specs I have on this little Eve server. As you see, 24 gig. That is actually quite beefy. But since I've got the gaming machine, it's got like 32 gig of RAM. I actually want to upgrade it to 64 or even 128. But I'm just going to wait another year, and then when my wife allows me to upgrade my machine, then I'll put in some, then I'll just get a proper new machine and just give her this one as a gift almost. But yeah, 24 gig of memory, 8 processors. It's really not the beefiest thing, but it's still cheaper than getting a completely bare metal server. Because some of those servers can be quite expensive. I mean, I guess you can get cheap servers as well if you really fish for it, but the servers that I've been looking at for the specs that's typically recommended, it's almost not worth it for me personally. And yeah, then I've got this Roam, this Linux VM, which is what I'm typically connected on when I showcase things to you guys as well. So you want to see if we can achieve a gigabit throughput. Now there's a few ways we could do that as well. I necessarily don't need to do it with this bandwidth test. Another tool that we could use with Microti, which is quite nice, is the traffic not traffic monitor, the traffic generator. Let's just go into this quickly. A few things we can do with this. I'm not sure if you guys have ever used the traffic generator before, but it's quite nice. I might just chuck this on Ether 3, which is currently connected to my management network. We'll grab a packet template, create a new one. And the only thing that I really want to do here is, yeah, kind of, not really, because it's just chucking out the traffic. It's just generating the traffic. It doesn't even care if the remote side responds or not. It's just throwing the stuff out, to be honest. Let's just see. I think that was the destination, and my IP address was 136. And then let's just make a quick port range, maybe from port 1000 to 2000, and destination. This is really just like a range of ports, so we have multiple streams, because sometimes you use single streams and stuff just it's more useful to test it that way if you're doing stuff like LACP and you want to see if load balancing actually happens properly. Back in the traffic generator, just add a new stream quickly. Port, we can use, is that the same port? I'm sure I made it port 3, but that's fine. Packet size 1492 would be fine. Let's try and grab a gig. Just want to go back into the traffic generator and look at my ports. Oh, so I just named it port 1. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right, we can actually just run this and see what it does. So let's run this thing. This stream, this template. Oh, and sorry if you guys are just seeing me throw stuff here. It's again, it's just me labbing and trying to understand a few things. All right, we've got the generator running. Let's go into our settings here. That's pretty nice. So there we can see we are transmitting a gigabit across the interface. Yeah, so that's fair. And I mean, this is a P1 license. So if I look at the licensing, this is just a normal P1. So I can only get a gigabit on this. If you just, I don't know if you guys seen this, if you just bring a CHR into Eve or just bring it online, it's running on a trial license usually. And that is restricted to 1 megabit. And that's usually where most people run into some issues when they test things or they do like large project types of things, because then the CHR just can't really handle that traffic. With a megabit these days is like nothing. It used to be a lot, like not even 20 years ago. Even 20 years ago, it wasn't that much. Maybe like 30 years ago, it was a lot. I remember being like 16 or something, and I was in high school, and I was so amazed that somebody had a 512 kilobit ADSL line. I thought, wow, this guy's super rich and he's got the best connection I've ever seen. And now nobody even uses DSL, well, barely. I think in many countries it's just starting to get pulled out of the ground, because having copper is just, you know, in my original country, having copper around was just plain dangerous, because it was getting stolen out of the ground a lot. But where I've like moved to, I've seen them also try and get rid of copper. I'm not sure what the reasoning is exactly behind it. Maybe it's just too expensive to run the copper network, or maybe the expertise isn't there for it anymore. But yeah, it's even happening in other parts of the world, which is interesting to see. All right, cool. I'm actually going to stop that. One thing to note with this traffic generator tool is this thing will just keep running. If you don't specifically shut it down, or you don't like stop your session or something, it's just going to run in the background the whole time, and this will consume resources, obviously, because we can see this is still just popping a gigabit over there. So traffic generator stop. But it's quite cool that you can look at the stats and things as well. You can see what it's doing. You can see what each individual stream's doing, what the ports were, how it's connecting. It's a very nice tool, actually. I like it a lot. But it can be, you know, dangerous in the wrong hands as well, because you can accidentally also bottleneck the network, and now everybody's like, hey, why is the speed so slow? We don't have internet anymore. Yeah, it is possible to congest the link. That's exactly the point. Yeah, it can happen. All right, so what do I actually want to do? I think what I was about to show you guys as well is this ARNOS thing, which again, it looks just like Cisco. I'm not sure. Am I wrong? Does this look like Cisco to you guys? You even click enable or type enable. There you go. You're in enable mode. You do a show in brief. I mean, the show in brief obviously looks more like Linux, which it should because it is based off of, there we go, Debian. But it's been written in such a way for, you know, for this. So I do want to set up a few things. I don't know if I want to set up the whole lab now. Let me just exit out of this, because there's a few things we can do. In my mind, what I was wanting to do with this type of topology is just run these 5 routers or routers in the middle, just as some core network. Maybe use the Microtics either as customer edge devices, or they could be provider edges as well, and then just work our way from there. But few interesting things I'd like to test as well. So no, Joseph, I didn't, but welcome. Don't worry, you're never late. It's a live stream. Whether you're early, late, I mean, you can just view this stuff afterwards as well. So in regards to ARNOS, if you are interested in getting it, it's actually very straightforward. So you can just search ARNOS. It is by IP infusion. Make sure you go into their site, don't go into some random stranger's site, get viruses and stuff. But this is very cool. I'm actually seeing a lot of people wanting to move to ARNOS just for various functions, especially for their layer 2 connectivity in the data centers and at internet exchanges and stuff. But you can see there's various uses for ARNOS. It says it can be an aggregation router, a cell site router. Not that I particularly know what that even means, but the documentation is there to read up about it. It's for the data center. It's for the optical networking, which I find really interesting. If we open up this little PDF here, there you see this thing can run IP with DWDM or IP over DWDM. It's very... it shows you that it's this collapsed single intelligent routed optical network, so that you don't have to have a DWDM network and then an MPLS network and an IP network running over it. ARNOS is not free. ARNOS does have a price point with it. So what I'm using in this lab, it's just a test VM that I'm kind of going to show you guys how to get your hands on. But what ARNOS wants you to think of is that it is disaggregated networking. So instead of being locked to a specific vendor when you want to use the hardware, ARNOS is kind of like, hey, you can still use that very nice hardware because it's kind of made by the same type of companies that make it for the big networking vendors, you know, like your Cisco's and Junipers and Huawei's and whatnot. But now you can buy this blank piece of equipment that can do these heavy duty loads and bandwidths and capacities and all these cool things, but you can load your own brain onto it. So ARNOS is just the brain, but it still comes at a price point. The problem is I don't even really know what the price point is. If we go to how to buy, all this is going to do is kind of get a salesperson in touch with you, and then they will probably try and sell it to you. But I've heard some people say, hey, it's not really that much cheaper than just going for a Cisco or a Juniper or something. But I really can't say. I don't know what the pricing is. We'd have to contact them and maybe get an answer. Maybe I'll do that, maybe for fun, find out. Because one of the videos I wanted to work on in the channel is for ARNOS. Hang on, let me see if I can get there. So So there's my fun little tool that I usually use to make my thumbnails on YouTube. And then you see I've been wanting to make a video on ARNOS network disaggregation because it is a pretty cool solution. I think it's interesting, but you might get more, or you might, it might be cheaper to get something like VIOS instead, because I think ARNOS is still going to be a pricey solution, but we'd have to, again, find out from them. Anyways, if you want to get ARNOS, go to the ipinfusion.com website. You can click on the free download, and here they're also just going to basically ask you a questionnaire. But if you scroll down, I think that it's going to ask you on what platform do you want to use it. So do you want to use it on Eve, on GNS3, on VirtualBox, or KVM? So you've got these different options of how you can lab ARNOS in essence. The first time I labbed it, it was actually just straight as a virtual box on my hypervisor. But now you can get it for EVE-NG directly, so, or GNS3. So you can just click on the download, and this is kind of where it gets a bit, I don't want to say weird, because now you need to fill in your information first. Give them your name, last name, job title, company, email. I just gave them my Network Berg details. Click submit, and then it will take you to the next page. So let's just quickly test. Let's just, maybe somebody from ARNOS is watching this stream and they can see what we're doing. So I'm just going to go test. Test 1, test role, test company, test man, testerman@test.com. This number does not exist, so please do not try and use it. So I'm just going to submit this, just so you guys can see, because all that really does is it kind of generates a lead. I don't know if you know what a lead is, but think of it as a ticket or an email to a salesperson at ARNOS, so they will potentially make contact with you. They've actually made contact with me after downloading the test VM again. But here you can see it tells you exactly, hey, this is the QCOW stuff. You can just actually scroll down, download these 5 things. The first is the actual image, which you can install on Eve. Then there is the actual guide, a quick start guide, which is quite nice because this guide will show you how to import the nodes, even how to install EVE-NG. Then there is a template that you can load into EVE-NG so that you can actually see the node. You know, like when you click on the node, it shows ARNOS here. If you don't have the template, you're not going to see it here. You've got this image, the icon, although the icon is scaled to large. So I actually had to rescale it or scale it down myself. I think I made it 45 pixels in width and length. For fun, Tom, almost. To be fair, a lot of people want to use ARNOS, so I might as well just learn a bit more about it. Even the company where I'm working at is wanting to replace some of their data center switches with ARNOS. So it makes sense for me to just keep an eye on it and see how it works exactly. Because you don't know, one day somebody might tell you, hey, can you log on to this device and fix things or figure this out? But it's not just for switch. This thing is very powerful. Let me actually show you how powerful it is. Oh, and then there is the zip file with the configurations, which I actually kind of want to show you guys. Let me just shut down this lab again. And we will just navigate to the ARNOS Lab so that you can kind of see what makes it so nice. That it's not just like a switch or a router thing. It is a full-blown solution. This is as powerful as any Cisco or Juniper. Can it do everything that those devices can do? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But it's the same with like Microti, you know, it depends on your preferred vendor. I just know a lot of people, especially in the Microti sphere. You guys know who Kevin Myers is, obviously. He's big in the game. And I think the consultation company that, I don't know if he owns it or co-runs it or something, IP Architects, they use a lot of ARNOS in their core because it can do stuff like segment routing and just things that a Microti can't do. So they'll use ARNOS in the core, and then at the provider edges, they'll put down stuff like the Microtics for your generic BGP and layer 3 VPNs and stuff like that. But this lab, it's literally what was pulled off of the ARNOS site. So if you get these configuration files and look at the how-to guide, it's literally just to create this lab, which in essence is just a layer 3 VPN lab, but it shows you it can do stuff like redundant paths and links, and the MPLS works, and it's a pretty cool solution. Let's just quickly log on to one of the nodes to see how far it is along. It's still going to take a while. I might as well just quickly add some IPs to these Dockers, because if you look at the configuration file, which we can open, you can just scroll down. Again, here it shows you everything. Like if you follow the step by step, even if you've already got EvenG installed, you can just like skip past it. That's what I did. And then you can get to the EvenG side of things. But what I'm interested in is the nodes. Here we see the layer 3 VPN setup or configs for the devices. This is more or less what I wanted to see, just the IP addresses, because I know the servers need like a 30.11200 and 40.11200 on each end. So I just quickly want to assign that. So let's go into Eve. I'm just going to assign this Docker an IP quickly. I think I could just use this RDP client for that. Although I could probably also just, connect on terminal. But let's just quickly do this. My terminal ifconfig eth0. It's 30.11200/24. And let's just add a route out as well. Route add default gateway, and that is going to be 30.111 over eth0. And let's quickly see, can I ping that IP address? And that's just the ARNOS like switch or device. Can't ping it yet, but it's probably still booting. So let's just see. No, it's actually up. I've got a feeling that the configs have gone. Which is perfect, because now we can reconfigure. So I can just do a show running config. Yeah, this is a blank device. It doesn't have a single straight up config on it. Let's quickly open this. All right, yeah, so we can just quickly add this config. That's one of those little Cisco quirks that I forgot was a thing. Copy run start. So after I rebooted this lab or turned it off, obviously it's lost all of the config, which is fine, I guess. I mean, I probably should have thought about that. I think I've seen it happen before when I labbed this the first time around. But it's not too bad. I mean, I can just quickly grab all this config and pop it into the devices. So this is the CSR1. Pop this in here. I actually think I still have a session open to it. Yeah. Enable this config terminal and just paste. And end. Oh, I need to commit. That's one cool thing though. It's kind of like Juniper or I keep forgetting, is it iOS XR that also does the commit scheme? All right, there we go. So now we can do a copy run start. There we go. That sucks that actually happens, but that's fine. Let's quickly see, can I ping the VM? I don't actually need to exit out of config mode for that. Network unreachable. So run. ETH. Am I missing this or something? Where is the, oh, there it is. 30.111. Yeah, that's fine. 30.111. Right. This is freaking me out now, because this should in theory work. Let me just quickly disconnect this cable, reconnect it. Sometimes Eve is weird like that. Because we should also probably look at the interfaces to see that they are up. So Ether 1 shows it's down currently. And obviously, since it's down, yeah, maybe that's the case. Although I recall when I did that, I didn't have to unshut the interfaces after copying the config across. And we could probably also just see if I do a show int ETH0. Oh wait, it's ETH1. Does it show anything there? Duplex half. Yeah, that's so weird. That shouldn't be the case. Let me just quickly stop the Docker as well. Bring that back up. But I might just unshut it anyway. So let's just go config terminal int ETH1 shut commit, and then no shut it. Let's just quickly see if this interface comes up. Sorry, I've also got like Juniper brain now. I want to like interse everything the whole time because there we go. ETH1 is up. But I probably need to reassign this IP to this container now. I should have actually just added the config as startup config from Eve. Let's go apps, terminal, ifconfig. Yeah, no IP, ifconfig, ETH. It is ETH0. Yeah. 30.11.200/24. And then root default gateway 30.111. And can I ping you? There we go. Okay, cool. So that is up and running. Let's just add the config for the other nodes quickly. It should be a quick process. So AGGR1 and 2, let's quickly do them. Select all, copy, open you up, ARNOS, enable, config T, config T. They should also just maybe allow just plain type config and then you're in the config mode. I mean, it works like that in Juniper and Vios. So it makes sense to me. I paste that in, commit, copy, run, start. And let's just do a show int brief here. I just want to see if this ether 1 and 2 is up, 1, 2. Okay, that's good. Let's go into our AGGR2, copy, select this. Copy, run, start. Almost there. Just 2 more nodes. Network fun times. That's actually another nice Juniper blog. Core 1. ARNOS. ARNOS. I actually remember the first time I think I was installing OpenSense. I don't know if you guys know, it's like a firewall. When you boot it up the first time, it's running off a live CD or something, and then you need to use the username as installer, and I didn't do that, and I couldn't figure out why like my device just wouldn't save the settings. It was really frustrating. And then when I actually read the documentation, it was like, oh wow, I am really dumb sometimes. All right, so let's enable you, config T, paste you in, commit you, and quit, copy, run, start. Hey, that was the last one. That was the AGGR3. Awesome. Let's quickly just add this Docker. Although, let's quickly see, is AGGR3, I think this is using a different interface, Ether2. Ether2 is up, so that's good. Oh, did I copy the wrong file? Zurlamer. Let me just quickly see. It says AGGR3 in the name, so I think it should be the right one. Oh, I see what you mean. So I'm in the core node, but ooh, yeah, that is bad. That isn't what we want. So we can just quickly factory reset this. How do I do it from this device? Oh, shouldn't be reload. Load config maybe. Commit. Rollback. Maybe that. Two. Oh, I didn't save any type of. Maybe it's like 0. No. Commit rollback. No, I don't think it's going to be the commit rollback. It's probably going to be one of these other commands. That might actually be the quickest solution, to be honest. Just change the positioning. Yeah, that's actually fair. So, yeah, I'm just going to do that. Stop that. So 1, 2, 3, 0. Although it is important that I connect the stuff up the right way now. So 2, 3. Okay. That's fine. No, I don't want to delete the node. So this was 2. Oh, but now I've got that connection there. Ether2. You were there. Was it? But actually, yeah, I think a wipe would have been fine as well, to be honest. Wipe would have worked just as fine. Because now I'm doing the same thing basically. And I think, actually I think, was it Ether 1 or was it Ether 2? It was Ether 2. Actually, I'm going to have to look at the documentation quickly. So this is the nice thing about having this around here still. So 1, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay, that's fine. We can just call this AGGR3 and make this core 1. Yeah, next time I'll just wipe the node. It doesn't really change the, because now I'm gonna start for or wait for the. Well, I would have waited for the config anyways. I think you're right, Tom, with the config register. Some Googling or looking at the documentation would have probably also helped. What I don't also like about ARNOS is the it used to be better for me previously. Let me just show you guys product documentation. Because they used to have like a similar type of thing like Microti had, where you could have this nice panel on the left and it shows you different things you can go into and set things up. And now you're going into these different little blocks and you're just downloading a. Well, this is fine. Actually, I think I think I might be remembering wrong, because I remember downloading a lot of different PDF files as well. But here you're like downloading a layer 2 PDF almost. Oh, no, here's the guide. Never mind. Okay. So I'm definitely either misremembering things or they've updated or changed things again. So basic configurations are all here. Maybe I'm remembering that I got a lot of PDFs and now you need to do it this way. I actually think that's the right that's how I'm remembering this. But here you see we get layer 3, VXLAN, segment routing, all these cool fun stuff. Is this booted up yet? Let's see. Core. ARNOS. Alright, let's quickly. Why do I have the feeling that I didn't save the config on this AGGR3 and what I did just now is pointless? Anyways, let's just grab this config and I do want the core config now. Select that and pop that into the core node. So this is the core node. Yes, config T. Paste that in, commit it. And then we can just do a nice little copy run start. And then let's get into the AGGR3. Oh no, it did save. Okay, that's good. Okay, so let me see, I don't think did I change that Docker's details? No, I didn't. Just quickly change the Docker as well. And then we can actually test the lab, like how it's intended, to see if layer 3 VPN works. Which is what a lot of people would want this for as well. So it makes sense for them to, you know, give you the blueprint and how to do this. System tools, mate, fconfig. This is 200/24 route add default gateway 40.1.1.1. Let's do a quick ping. All right, that works. So the test for the lab is just to see if we can ping across from this 40.1.1.200 Docker to 30.1.1.1.200, and this is kind of like this whole layer 3 VPN connection that's been configured. So we can just see if it works by doing ping 30.1.1.200. Was it 200 or 100? 200, yeah. And then we see it works. So yeah, it works, but what does it actually mean for us? Well, it just means that layer 3 VPN connectivity is set up. And if we look at stuff like if we maybe log onto the CSR-1, there's a few cool commands we can run just to check and see what's happening. But obviously, if we just do a show run, that gives us the best picture of how everything's set up anyways. Here we can see there is a test VRF. It's got this route distinguisher. It's using this route targets. So it's importing and exporting for 65,000 or 65,000:1. Here we can see it is running LDP. What else do we have here? We've got a loopback address. One thing I found interesting when configuring this, because I wanted to go in guns blazing and just do everything myself. If you try and change the loopback address from this, and you don't use secondary like they did in their blueprinted config, it freaks out. It doesn't like that at all. I don't know why. Maybe it works with the paid version, but you need to specify like a secondary IP for the loopback address. Interface, this ETH0 is just connecting to the Eve management cloud. It's just so that the thing has internet access and stuff like that. Ether1, it's a part of that test VRF. So that VRF that is part of that RD65000. I also wonder why, to be honest. I kind of feel like I also want to like get rid of that. Maybe it's reporting back to ARNOS what you're doing to some extent, since this is running Debian in the background, and maybe I'm just looking at stuff in the front. But that's just speculation. I really don't know. We can probably look at the documentation just now and see why you need that connected to the management cloud. Ether2, obviously that is a backhaul link. Is it? Yeah, Ether2 and Ether3 both are backhauls. So that makes sense. Let's just go back into here. Oh, and it is running ISIS, obviously. You could see in the interface configuration it's running ISIS, but here we see the router has been configured with ISIS. There's a network ID. It's running BFD as well. Quite nice. I think it's just running the default metrics for BFD. Or actually, I think the metrics might be linked to the IGP itself as well. Actually, I think it's... No, I think it would just use some basic default BFD timers. But it really doesn't matter. If you don't know what BFD is, it's really just a nice protocol that you can run with your other routing protocols to just make your convergence faster. Because BFD is like this to pick up if something goes wrong. Whereas if you're waiting for stuff like with OSPF with the hello timers, if you're waiting for a hello timer to first time out before the network reconverges, that might be like 40 seconds before the network decides, hey, there's an issue. Let's do something about it, which can be a lot in a big ISP space. All right, ISIS, that's fine. We've got our BGP set up. This is IGP. This is or IBGP, not IGP. It's IBGP. Very important difference there. I don't think this is running to any type of route reflector. Maybe that would be worthwhile testing out. Because I'm sure we could still test that in the lab. It's just not configured in that way yet. We've got VPNv4 unicast that's being sent out to their neighbors, so .2 and .3. And here we see the address family is for the IPv4. Okay, so this is like pretty normal. And this again looks exactly like a Cisco's config. There's nothing that stands out or looks strange to me. This is like working on a Cisco again. But some cool things we can run is maybe something like the show MPLS forwarding table. Cool, so there we can see it's definitely using MPLS. We can see some labels, which interfaces stuff go out of, what the next hops are, and LSP types. Okay, that's quite nice as well. What else can we show? BGP. Let's look at our neighbors quickly. Can I do neighbors? Can we do sum? So BGP sum. No, okay. I'm sure it works. It's just not showing me anything. Communities. Okay, that'd be something also interesting to test out. Layer 2 VPN. Does ARNOS do BGP eVPN? Yeah, it does eVPN. Okay, that's pretty good as well. So that's already a step up from Microti then, at least. That and the segment routing. And again, I'm not trying to like downplay Microti. Microti's really powerful as well. It just makes sense why people use ARNOS in the core, perhaps because of these type of additional protocols and extended features. That looks cool. Let's just give it a good old question mark, see what else we've got working here. The restart. Okay, cool. So you can restart individual processes as well. That's also nice. That's also nice. I like that. So instead of having to kill the whole system, if your BGP is a bit weird, just restart the process for it. That's nice. So NetNerd, I also saw that actually. I was with my boss or manager on a call. It wasn't like they had like this open bridge call type of thing almost. And they were explaining or showcasing it as well, which is interesting. I like it. Very basic stuff, NTP, some Linux stuff here. License, I wonder if, what can we do with the license? Can I show license? trial edition, remaining 365 days. It's basic stuff, basic stuff. Container, Can you run containers on this? Doesn't seem like it. Basic stuff, show resources, nothing too insane. DB sync. Some debug commands. What can we debug? Exactly what you can with this is maybe test out some viewer RP as well. PIM as well, I'd like to test out. This is also something that's interesting that I saw on Vios specifically was they released a new routing protocol. I actually made a post about it on the YouTube community as well, called Babble. And I've seen some developers actually comment or talk about Babble. I'm not sure how useful it is actually, because it's just another, I think it's a distance vector routing protocol, but apparently it's like RIP on steroids. But I never really even used RIP, to be honest. I've labbed it, I've seen it like once used at a customer's solution for some weird reason, but I've never really seen people use RIP. If you guys have actually seen people use RIP actively, please let me know, because I'm curious about it. I've never seen it being actively used. Can we see what our ISIS, maybe show ISIS. Let's look at our interfaces. Yeah, Babble is an FRR. It's here somewhere, Babble. No, not that. Babble routing protocol, routing. It's wiki, but I swear I saw it on there. RIP on, oh, they describe it as RIP on speed. Same principles as RIP, but includes a number of refinements that make it react much faster to. But what I liked about Babble was it's running v4 and v6 at the same time, so you don't need it to be v4 or v6. You know, like not like OSPF or OSPF3 or whatever. Here's Babble. It does both of them. Kind of like what BGP can do. So that's pretty cool. That's actually very useful, to be honest. I actually think that's why the developer people I've seen using it like it, because of the IPv6 just running at the same time. Because everybody loves IPv6 now. It's very important. Router Babble. That is definitely something I want to lab out. But I mean, you guys just saw this is a very basic layer 3 VPN lab. I mean, if you log into the core, you probably just see the same type of stats. If we do like a show MPLS forwarding table, you can kind of see what it's doing. Yeah, this topology I'm actually just going to shut down again now. At least we've saved the configuration, so next time I start this up, it's going to be a lot smoother than what just happened, where we just had to reconfigure everything. So thanks for porting over the copy run start as well. That really is nice. I don't know if I want to go back into the multi-vendor lab. I can see I've got some Juniper stuff here, but it's really it's basic stuff. This is just like, this lab was quite fun because it's doing stuff like the different LACP type of trunks, but it's also doing MC lag, and MC lag is pretty cool. I like that a lot. Let's go into the... Actually, I want to go into this ARNOS Lab, because I know I started both of these boxes up. I just want to see if they've actually remembered that they are alive. And there's easier ways to get them connected to the internal networks, which is the Dockers at the moment. Because like any firewall, you need to access it through the internal zone. If you try and get in from a WAN interface, it's going to be a problem. Can you run VLANs over a Microti point-to-point? Yes, Matthew. You can definitely run VLANs over a point-to-point link on Microti. Even if it's a wireless link, you can run VLANs. How would you like to run your VLANs is the question. Well, what do you want to use them for? Is it for a per customer site link type of thing? Is it for different services? Like data or voice for a customer? Is it something else that you're wanting to do? See, these things are also probably going to take as long as the ARNOS devices to boot up. Oh no, they're not. They're pretty quick. All right, that's cool. So here we can see I've got the HTTP out to the internet and, well, my management cloud, but that's going to give me internet access. And then I've got this LAN IP. And the LAN IP is the same on both ends at the moment because I haven't tweaked anything. It's literally just a Docker connected to an OpenSense firewall. I need to change this. Maybe I should use the HTML5 console. I'm just not sure how well this works with Eve on Linux, on Ubuntu. Let's just go in here. Let's connect to this Docker. My terminal. So we can do a ifconfig eth0 192.168.1.100. I'm not going to add a default gateway. It's just to see if I can get onto this OpenSense firewall, because I also just want to throw a ton of this stuff into devices. Oh, really? Yeah, that's not fun. That's definitely not fun. Root, I actually think I did set a password for this. Yes, I did. Yeah, cool. So OpenSense is working fine. It is one of the latest builds. Again, what I like about OpenSense is these guys don't mess around with updates. They're almost every week releasing some new update. We've got interfaces. Got some basic VPN stuff, IPsec, OpenVPN, and WireGuard, which is nice. I might actually also just do like a WireGuard to other devices WireGuard, because I love WireGuard. It's such a useful VPN protocol. Where do I get the packages again on OpenSense? I haven't used it in a while. Not from the lobby. I'd imagine it's from the system. I think it's from firmware, if I remember right. Yes, there's packages. Was it packages or plugins that you want for the actually think it's the plugins for some of the extra features. Because you can get some, yeah, you can get some cool themes. It just makes it look a bit prettier, but it's not that nice. Zero tier on here, very nice. Although I think I've done a video on zero tier on OpenSense before as well. But that is another awesome VPN protocol. Like, it's so nice to just, like, I guess it's kind of scary as well if you think about it, since you're kind of giving your stuff up in a sense to zero tier, but it just works so well. I mean, this stuff breaks through double natted connection like it's nothing, and it just makes everything work so nicely. As long as you can get to I can't remember what they call them, like root or global servers or something. I know Tailscale, you've got like a tail and a head and stuff like that. I think they're called like moons and stuff with zero tier. Moons and planets. I, I'm probably talking like out of my ears now. But let's install zero tier and just quickly have another play around and see a few things. But so far I'm happy if you guys are not having any issues with the audio, as long as the microphone's not like clipping or too soft. Because usually I have a big worry about like a Microsoft being too soft. It's weird. Even if I make a YouTube video and I need to edit the audio afterwards, I like spend weird time or long time just trying to get the audio right, and then I still feel like it's wrong. In pfSense is zero tier plugin too? No. pfSense. Sorry, I haven't logged into it in a while, so maybe they've updated it. But the last time I checked, their equivalent of zero tier was Tailscale, which works just like zero tier. It's as good as zero tier. It's really useful. It does go through double NAT. So yeah, but I don't remember there being zero tier. All right, cool. Let's see, this is done. Do I need to restart anything? Actually, don't like this feel when I'm RDPing on Ubuntu, but it's the same on Windows as well. Are you talking about with zero tier? You probably are, because I've seen it do like, oh, with the WireGuard tunnel. Yeah. Yeah, WireGuard is that good. Yeah. No, Tailscale is also super easy to set up. I don't think I've made a video. Have I? I don't think I've touched Tailscale. Really? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm really happy that if you've landed any type of role with any type of stuff that I put out. Like, it's really just me trying. And again, guys, I'm also not like the best in the world or anything, and I can also make mistakes and stuff. But as long as I can help you on the right track and you know you're learning something, then I'm really happy. I want to test out a solution. Yeah, you could do it for that. You can definitely, Matthew. You could set up some test VLANs and just see if they're going to work with what you want them to work. If you want to set up stuff like a security system like a CCTV, and you wanted to have its own little network, then you could definitely do that with VLANs over a point-to-point link, and then just extend it as access ports to your cameras, or tag it on your cameras with whatever VLAN you want to use. So it's doable. I don't think that would be an issue. What are you going to use, Matthew? Are you going to use also Microti, or is there any mix match of equipment? Are you using different vendors? Is your routers one thing and your switch is something different, or what are you using? Because I definitely also recommend looking at documentation. That's always my first point of call when when having to set anything up or doing anything. If it's Microti, it's so straightforward. I mean, you're just going to help.microti.com/docs, and anything about VLANs that's going to be useful you'll find on here. You can just go into the bridging and switching, and I know you can go into this VLAN object here, and it'll explain how VLANs work and how to set things up, but I find that the case studies is actually, personally for me, more useful. I love coming here because this is giving us some more type of real world type of stuff that's happening. It's kind of explaining the solutions a lot better to me, because you see in real time, or not real time, but you see on the documentation what the intent is, and you can exactly see what stuff doesn't work with what. And this misconfiguration is very useful. Layer 2 misconfiguration, because many times people configure stuff incorrectly. I've done it before. I've done it many times where I've added a VLAN tag on the interface and then have that just route the traffic, and then obviously that's not the most optimal way of doing this. Consultancy to be fair, I don't think I've ever actually, I've considered providing consultancy before, but I've never actually done it. And currently, I don't think I've got the time actually for it. I've wanted to. I know I saw Gomo in the chat earlier. I'm sorry, I saw your message on LinkedIn. I just haven't had time to respond to it. Even though I'm streaming, I'm sorry. I should have probably responded to you on there, but I'll get to that as well. But the thing is, I'm currently not providing any form of consultancy, and it's just time and a mixture of other things that I'm just not able to do it. So if you are looking for a consultant, for anybody that's watching, I definitely recommend going onto Microtik's website, microtik.com/consultants, and you'll get like a list of all of the top rated consultants. The first person you see popping up here is usually like the best guy, which is weird. I swear that Kevin Myers was usually the first guy that popped up here, even though Wilmer is just as good, to be honest. If you don't know who Wilmer is, he is another Microtik channel. He's actually quite a small channel at the moment, but it's not due to a lack of good content or anything. His content is great. I'd actually argue that some of his stuff is a lot better than mine. And let's just go in here, except his channel is called the Network Trip, which is almost like my network channel name. But he's great. I mean, I've seen his videos as well, and people in the community, even when I had a Discord server, they'd reference him a lot for the switching stuff, because he talks about switching things quite in depth, in detail as well. Here you can see he does good work as well. So Wilmer, if you want to use him as a consultant, you're in North America, I definitely recommend him as well. But you can see a few other ones. I don't know why my browser looks so weird now. It's like not loading anything. Let me just refresh. Sorry about that. Microtik.com/consultants. VPN concentrator is a CHR. That makes sense. I actually like that as well. I saw you were having some issues on, was it AWS? I've had issues on AWS with CHRs as well. I don't know why. If you like upgrade the firmware, it spazzes out completely. I just saw that on the Microtik Discord, by the way. Is it stable, VXLAN? So Tom, to be honest, I'm not sure. I've used VXLAN, but in a very small scale. I only had like a couple of customers running over it, and it worked fine, and it was on production, but I can't say if you're going to scale it to thousands of customers how stable it is, but it does work, I can tell you that much. So there's that. Ubiquiti Edge router to an HP switch. Yeah, so you're gonna, Matthew, you're gonna go through a few bits of documentation, I think, but what you want, you can definitely do with all pieces of equipment there, unless your HP is like a dumb switch. And when I say dumb switch, I mean it's not a management switch, so you don't do VLANs. It's just like pure layer 2. It's plug and play, just connect things. I know HP sometimes sells some dumb switches as well, but all vendors do. It's not just an HP or whatever thing. So just make sure that your HP can support VLANs as well, and that you can do VLANs on it, and then you should be fine. Wait, I've watched one of your videos. I think the 5009 RB is probably the best home lab router you can buy. And I think you can get 1 gigabit out with cake, to be honest. I think you'll be fine with that. HAP X2 would be fine, I guess. Look, even the AC2 would be good in my book, if it's for just plain Wi-Fi connectivity. It also... I think I'm one of the worst people to talk about Wi-Fi, because it's not something I'm particularly good at, because there's so much involved when it comes to Wi-Fi networking. I'm not sure if so many people forget how things like interference plays a role in wireless networking. Stuff like where your equipment is positioned, um, things like the walls you use might even impact your connectivity. So if you live in like a big house and you have all kinds of different weird things, one time I saw somebody like in their boardroom, they had this metal mesh thing above the table, and they had the AP mounted in the middle of this mesh thing. But because of this poles and stuff, it was causing the signal to bounce like crazy. And the problem with that is, you know, the many times the important people are going to sit in the boardroom, the MDs and COs and whatnot, and they're the ones experiencing this bad Wi-Fi, and they're like wanting to destroy the IT department because why is the wireless so bad, when somebody with some you know hasty when somebody with some art person thought they'd be cool and put this stuff up above the table. You know, this is the type of stuff you learn from. So this is why I don't really particularly like wireless, because there's so much going into it that it scares me actually. If it's a plain like, hey, it's a point-to-point link, here's the frequency we connect on, or I'm sure if you guys seen stuff like, is it Ubiquiti that does the air magic? And then it's so easy to see if there's interference, and you can say, hey, okay, cool, I'm going to use this channel. There's no interference really. Connect my link. There we go, point to point. It's up and running. But now, a week later, some other guy puts up their dish, and they also cause some interference. It's very hard for me. But if it's just for like a home network, AC2 or AX2 is fine. I mean, obviously, the newer the stuff you can get, the better. Obviously, if you're using Wi-Fi 6, you want the AX series. If Wi-Fi 7 ever drops, and Microti brings out their, well, it did drop, I think. But if Microti brings out their next series, you're obviously going to go for that next type of model. But then your card also needs to support it, obviously, like on your laptop or on your workstation or whatever you're using the wireless for. Like, that's also something that a lot of people don't always take into account when it comes to wireless. Like, hey, I've got this Wi-Fi 6 router or this AP, but my laptop is still like an AC or an AN or whatever type of card on it. It doesn't do anything. Tom, yes, I have before covered VXLAN using Microti, although the videos I do think are a bit old, so I do maybe want to revisit the subject. We can have a look at it here. I mean, I could just go onto my YouTube channel quickly, the Network Berg. And again, if you're searching for videos, just go into channel, videos, and we can, oh cool, I didn't even know YouTube had a search thing. VXLAN. I think there might be some clickbaity thing, like I'm like, ha, ha. I look like Hector from Breaking Bad before he, oh no, not Hector, I look like Gus Fringe that's about to get hectored there. That's pretty cool. I completely forgot that I made the thumbnail that badly. I maybe want to redo some of these thumbnails. But yeah, here it is. It's also just kind of diverting you or telling you where to get the documentation when it comes to VXLAN, and it does the showcase. I think it's still relevant. I'm muting it, although I do think my audio for my computer is already muted, so you guys shouldn't hear anything. Ah, there we go. I got that nice, good old webcam as well. Even though I'm using also just a webcam for the stream, it's the Elgato face cam I'm using. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. I think the VXLAN config is still exactly the same. You just need to remember stuff like VNIs and things like that, but it works. This topology was actually quite nice to work on. I remember it now. I'm getting like flashbacks when I created the topology, but this worked quite well. As you can see, honestly, all that does is it's like two separate locations, but you can kind of think of it as being like one broadcast domain, and these devices can talk as if they're in the same, the same switch almost. VXLAN is extremely useful. I think for some people it's better than VPLS even, except if you're but in that sense, I think it's better than VPLS if you're using it with like a control thing like EVPN. But VXLAN's fine, it's good. It works as well. Spectral scans. Yeah, Microti can do spectral scans. I've got my HAP AX3 even on the table here at the moment. Although I don't want to fiddle around too much because I might disconnect from from the stream. So I'm not going to touch anything right now, to be honest. Yeah, I'm probably going to disconnect from the stream if I move anything around there. Yeah, that's true. I still want to test out Capsman and maybe make a video about it. I've never used Capsman before, and I know a lot of people that use Microtik uses it. And for people that don't know what that is, what I'm talking about, it's basically just it's an access point manager type of thing. But I think the unfair thing almost is a lot of people like to compare like big wireless vendor stuff with Microtik. They'll be like using Unify's fancy network controller, and then they're like, "Hey, what does Microtik have?" And Microtik has Capsman. I think that is probably a big issue almost. I don't know what if it needs a rework maybe, because from my understanding it's pretty. I don't want to say bare bones, but it's pretty straightforward, I think, which is not a bad thing. Obviously, it's not a bad thing. It's just, you know, if you look at the Unify controller, it just looks so much like fancier. Proxmox V8. Oh, that's cool. I've been thinking about using Proxmox for a while now, but I want to maybe load that as a bare metal deployment. So I need to find a server to host that on. I don't want to like turn some random machine into a Proxmox server, because then I can use that to actually host my EVNG and some of my other VMs instead of it just running on my gaming machine. But it, you know, the stuff runs fine on the gaming machine. I mean, I can have like 5 Juniper VMXs running before I start to like really sweat. But that doesn't really mean much in this day and age. Yeah, let's just quickly open up this Juniper Lab. I just want to have a look at one thing quickly. Oh, right. I know what I wanted to have a look at. I was having one slight issue with this lab, and I think it's because of these Microtiks I'm using. And I'm not going to turn on everything. I'm just going to turn on these top pieces of equipment, because this was a bridging lab for Q&Q. But these Microtiks or these endpoints just couldn't get to each other. But I think it's how the Microtiks were tagging the traffic that wasn't working nicely. But that's something I can figure out with some, you know, fiddling around with the config. I just want to see if these things boot up and if I still have the same issue. So for a few years, free version. Damn, I was thinking about using the free version. Is the free version unstable? I mean, I think is the free version the VE, Proxmox VE? Because that's what I've been looking at. But I mean, I technically want to just get away from VMware, to be honest. Like, there's so much weird stuff happening with VMware at the moment, as you guys are aware of. And also, in the beginning of the stream, I mentioned how me having the like newer Intel cores with P cores and E cores, it was causing all kinds of issues with my hypervisor. Oh, that's cool. Chief Strongjaw. I mean, I want to test it out. I know Proxmox. I've seen it. I think I've deployed a VM or two on it, but the enterprise repos. Okay, that's cool. You see if this Juniper is booted up. Oh, since it is a VMX, this thing takes as long as a real MX to boot up. if you're not aware, like Juniper, it's not just Juniper though. Any big piece of routing equipment usually takes like 10 minutes. I don't know. Maybe sometimes less, maybe 5. I know the new Juniper Evo is a lot quicker because it's doing stuff with containerization, and it's like a couple of minutes, maybe 5 minutes to boot. But yeah, Juniper is also just not the quickest thing when you want to lab. Which again ties into my whole story with the provider or P course, E course issue. Because when I didn't, when everything was like just running on whatever core it wanted, if I was starting a single Juniper would almost be killing the system. I couldn't understand it. XRV9K. Yeah, I'm sure that takes forever. To be honest, I'm 100% sure that takes forever. Are you talking about the VCP and the VFP as the two VMs, or what two VMs are you talking about, Steve? Yeah, yeah, it's technically like two VMs because you've got your control plane on the one end, and then you've got your forwarding plane on the other end, which is kind of just like the switch where you plug everything in, and the thing that's making all the traffic go fast, like Sonic, because this thing makes everything just go. Its job is just shoot everything over the ports where they need to go, while this bad boy decides, like, the management stuff and the routing things and those big boy decisions. But the nice thing is this thing, the VCP doesn't need as much resources as let's say the forwarding plane. Because here you see this is like 2 gig of RAM. Oh yeah, Tom. Yeah, Tom, I've seen that. I've seen that. Is that booted up yet? Almost. Almost. Hmm. This is normal, by the way. This does take like a little bit. It usually hangs here as well for like a couple of minutes. Oh, but this was another nice thing about Pro versus Community Edition, where I can still go into other labs if I wanted to, run multiple nodes. Probably need more coal. Probably. I mean, at the end of the day, this is like my gaming machine, and I'm streaming off it at the moment as well, while I'm running um, all these multiple VMs and a hypervisor off of it. I think it's a bit much, yeah. But I do feel disappointment that because this setup cost me like £1,500, but that's including my peripherals like screens and whatever. And I actually feel so disappointed with what I got. I feel like I could have gotten a lot better if I just did a little bit more research. Because like I said, it's like a 13400K or something. 32 gig Corsair Vengeance RAM running at 3200 megahertz, and that palette GPU is like really, and I don't know. I've got a feeling it's about that palette GPU. It's root. Oh, it's Amnesiac. Didn't I save config on this? I swear I saved config on this. Okay, this is weirding me out, because that tells me this is a fresh setup. Let me just quickly try and get onto another node. Hmm. Did I set this password to something else? No, the login for this is root. Yeah. No, that's how I remember it as well. If it's amnesiac, it's like this is a blank device. This. Hmm. Why is it doing this now? I really don't just want to shut it down, and I might wipe the nodes, but that's just gonna take us another like 10 minutes. And I probably want to end the stream pretty soon as well, because it's not about sleep or anything like that. I actually enjoy the labbing aspect of it, but my son is actually turning 3 tomorrow, which is gonna be pretty nice. Going to have a small birthday for him. A few of his school friends are coming across or over, so that's a great way to, you know, just awkwardly stand around with other parents and be like, hey. Have like frozen foods and whatnot. No, but he'll enjoy it. Like we got him a bunch of cool presents and whatnot. Oh, yeah. I'm in the UK now, Liam. I'm where I am is a mystery, but yeah, I'm in the UK at the moment. It's pretty nice here, to be honest. Although what I found is a bit weird is the change of the like weather, like lighting specifically, because when we arrived here, it started becoming winter, and winter is depressingly dark. Actually, it's you wake up, it's dark. You go to bed, it's like dark in the afternoon already, like starting to get dark at like I don't want to say 3 o'clock, maybe like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Where I came from a place where it's like usually like at 6 or 7, maybe like 5 when it's winter. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's Juniper, but I'm having some issues logging in right now, so might trash it. Probably will trash it. Yeah, no. I've heard about that as well, Liam. I'm preparing myself for that. I don't even need to, cause my wife and uh, her mom have been buying like blackout curtains and stuff like that, so that even when it's like sun out, then the room's just dark. It's because even now it's already light until later, because it's like at 8 o'clock it's starting to go dark, and usually we put our son to bed, like we have a schedule, like 7 o'clock is like, you know, bath time, and then after bath it's climb into bed and read stories and all that, and then usually at around 8 o'clock he'll be lights out. But since it's still light now, when we're putting him into the bed, now we obviously need those blackout curtains. Hmm. All right. Cool. I am happy actually that the stream is functioning. What I think I want to do is every Thursday-ish, I want to kind of like continue, and it's not going to be a continuation of the previous stream or anything like that. It's more or less just going to be us setting up a stream, and we just hang out like this, guys. Like we chat, we lab, we do a few things, um, and have fun generally. So I think that's the plan going forward for the streams. I just really had an itch to log in now and see how the stream performs, and I'm really happy with how the streams turned out. So thank you guys for joining as well. But I do think I'm going to end off the stream here so that I can actually go to bed before I get into trouble. Tom, I'll quickly answer your question as well. How do you manage routers in different remote locations? So for that, you want to set up something like a management network. You might use some type of authentication server for your admin accounts, so that each user uses their own specific admin credentials to log in. This is where you want to maybe introduce something like Radius, or LDAP, or depending on what equipment you're supporting. I mean, if it's stuff like the Junipers, you can introduce more stuff. You've got stuff like TACAX. You've got, what else do you have? You've got LDAP, I think, that you can configure as well, which is just kind of like Radius. But yeah, there's different ways that you can set up authentication. But best practice is multiple. Oh, take a look at HashiCorp boundary. I don't even know what that is. I'll even take a look at that. So thank you, Stephen. HashiCorp. I know who HashiCorp is. I just don't know what boundary is. But you could also maybe set up, like we were talking about zero tier earlier. You could set up a management network using zero tier so that you can access everything through the zero tier network, and then you just block everything else. Obviously, you'd still maybe want some management interfaces or an in-band management network, and then you could use out of band as zero tier or something, so you can access it from like anywhere in the world if you need to. All right, cool. So this is going to be where I'm going to end off the stream. Thank you so much for joining, guys. I really appreciate the helpful feedback you gave me. This is going to help me also just feel a lot better if I stream on Thursday again. And I'll chat to you guys again in the future. So again, thanks for joining, and I'm going to end off the stream. Have a good evening, and all the best. Bye.